So you get in a little that's how you get like the fault.
May I say something?
You're back.
There was, I think, a large earthquake in Alaska 50 or 60 years ago, and the water went 500 meters high into the mountain.
Right.
You can see that on the documentary from National Geographic, I think.
Right. I actually, that was one of the tsunamis I studied. I actually came up with a kind of a loose formula. It seems like when the wave height doubles, it travels an order of magnitude more inland. I don't know if that matches your calculations.
No, but what I am talking about is that I speak about not about the tsunami. It's something completely else. It's a reversal of the rotation.
Right.
So, and according to the old manuscripts, the last wave was the highest.
Right. Well, I figured that would be true. Sorry, I want to interrupt.
We are not talking about a tsunami here. We are talking about a reversal of the rotation. It's like driving a very fast airplane and then crashing down, and then you just go further. Eh? That's it.
Lua, you have a question for Patrick.
Oh, yes, thank you. Many psychics and prophecies depict the movement of the North Pole as being toward Siberia. The magnetic North Pole is already traveling at a rate of greater than 40 miles per day toward Siberia. There are some
per
authors,
year. It's 40 miles per year.
I'm sorry, it's per year. Yes, you're right. There are some authors who offer this as proof that the geographic movement of the pole will indeed travel toward Siberia. I have read your prediction that the North Pole is going to travel toward the Hudson Bay area, thereby turning the United States area into an Arctic climate. Can you share with us the reason why you think it will travel this direction instead of following the route that the magnetic pole is already traveling?
Well, the reason is I have read the books of Robert Felix, and he researched the ice ages in North America and in other places, and he found out that most of the time the United States is covered for a large part with 1 kilometer ice. 12,000 years ago, Chicago and New York didn't exist. Above Chicago, there was more than 1 kilometer ice. And the reason was that it was at that time under the then South Pole, because now it's the North Pole, but then it was the South Pole. And because of the research of Robert Felix, I expect that the highest chance is that the United States will again go under the South Pole, not under the existing North Pole, but the new South Pole.
Oh.
And I think that is the biggest, the North Pole will change into the South Pole, so the place stays the same, so the United States will move now where Canada is and higher. So that is what I expect.
Okay. Is there any place on the North American continent which you believe might be safe, and what is the minimum elevation that you would consider safe?
The minimum, that is hard to tell, because it depends. If you are close to the equator, because of the bulge going down there, you need to be at least 3 kilometers high, close to the equator, because the mountains can sink very rapidly. I give an example. Lake Titicaca is a very strange lake with sea animals. So my theory is that it was created the last time moving from 0 kilometers to 5 kilometers high. The opposite can happen in 2012. So if you are close to the equator, the higher you need to be very, very high. If you are far away, thousands of kilometers from the equator, I think 2 kilometers can do it. But you need also to know that you need to be far away from supervolcanoes like Yellowstone Park, at least 1,000 kilometers, and 500 kilometers from other volcanoes, because they can be very, very highly destructive at the end of 2012.
Okay. Do you believe that with this pole shift, those species who survive the shift will find themselves dealing with entirely new kinds of life on the planet?
Life will change dramatically, because if you have an Earth crust slide and you have, let us say, a tropical climate, and suddenly you are going to a very polar climate, you have to adapt. Plants, animals, everything. Humans also, we have to adapt. My survival group, or the survival group from Spain, if Spain goes closer to the equator, it will be okay. But if my prediction is not okay, and the axis from South Africa and Europe will go poleward, then we can end in one day 3,000 kilometers higher. So Spain will have then the same climate like Norway or Sweden has today, so very, very cold. And there's not much possibility then for the survival group to survive. Then we have to adapt very quickly and to look for our way out to Africa.
All right. Do you think that there's a way for humans to make it through the globe without evolutionary changes? If it is the way to do that to stay below ground, and if so, for what period of time? Would you suggest that we would need to remain out of the effects of whatever the rays are that cause those evolutionary changes?
If you are in the high mountains and you are behind a rock from at least 2 to 3 meters thick, then you don't have the rays, the deadly, or the rays that will kill you or will change your DNA. So that's very easy. So if you do that, or the animals that do that, they won't change. So you only need to stay out of it, I think, till it is over, maximum 3 days.
Oh, really? So that's not a very long period of time at all?
No, it's not a very long time. No, but the problem is, like I stated before, that if the nuclear reactors melt down and the stored cooled nuclear fuel, well, I don't know what will happen there, but that can be the end of all life on Earth. Temporarily, yeah? Because there will be new life recreated, of course. But that is what I'm very afraid of.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lua. Diane B., you have a question for Patrick?
Yes, Patrick, good evening. Have you heard of the Earth expansion model? Dinosaurs couldn't live in the current era of Earth with the gravity we have now, as apparently their heads were too big. So they think the gravity was less in ancient times. If the expansion model is true, how would that affect your theory or your conclusions of what may happen? For example, if the Earth has been expanding, any crustal shift or reversed rotation of the Earth now may have less impact due to the Earth being larger this time around compared to previous pole shifts. So the waves might not be as high, they may lose attenuation before reaching the latitudes past 60 north and south.
Okay, I understand your question, but I don't believe in that the Earth has expanded a lot. What I know is that the devastations were larger in ancient times than they are now, because the movement, there was more, how do you say that, lava that could flow easier than at these days. The earth cooled down, and in ancient times it was hotter. So the the crustal shifts that happened at that time were a lot more devastating than what they are now. To give an example, if you look at Mars, it has no fluid inner core at the moment, so you can't have there big crustal shifts. And in the future, far away, if the Earth cools down more, then you can't have the happenings that will happen in 2012. But there is something that I have to tell. What will happen next year is a recharging of the battery of the Earth that protects us against the solar radiation and the radiation from the stars. If this doesn't happen, we will also die very rapidly, because if the magnetic field of the Earth goes to zero, we are also bust. And if the Earth rotation stops moving, we will also die. So the events of next year are in fact a way to preserve, to destroy, and to preserve the life on Earth. And that is what I think the basic part, but I don't think the Earth has changed that much against the ancient times. It's a slow movement. If you can see from a very long time ago, there wasn't a big change in the movement of the Earth. They can check that with things from millions of years ago, and then they can calculate the time that was needed for a rotation of the Earth a day against this time, and that didn't change that much in millions of years.
Thank you very much. That was the question I was going to ask about measuring the time of the Earth rotating. That makes sense. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. Chuck, you have a question for Patrick?
Yes. I'm wondering, do you think we are seeing changes in the sun's composition, the surface, the light spectrum, due to any dust from the Oort cloud, rather like mixing with the surface as the sun moves through it?
Yes. I can't say anything logic about that, because I didn't research that. So the only thing that I am looking at is the sunspot theory, and I am trying to find something that the Maya knew to calculate what will happen in the future with the sun. And I think that they are